Pleasure to be here. My name is Gino Simic, and I'm very happy that I can share the stage with my colleague Zdravko here. Oops, something happened. That I can share my stage with colleague Zdravko. And today we are talking about a topic that's very relevant based on everything you've heard today, which is how data silos are actually killing your CX and are the biggest blocker for you, for your growth and the enterprise, agentic enterprise future, right? Now, you've seen this slide, so I won't spend too much time on it. Please make your purchasing decisions of what's available currently on the Salesforce platform. And with that said, a big thank you for still being here, for not jumping off to the break yet, and for traveling all this way. I know some of you have traveled from very different places, so I appreciate it. And thank you for all the colleagues, Marco, Kate, and Connor, for setting the stage and honestly setting the bar very high. So we'll try to fly along. Now, today, we've heard a lot about what the future holds, right? We know the future is a connected, seamless, omnichannel experience. Now, what that means is that regardless if I go to your shop, your branch, your store, or if I order online, or have an experience through your mobile app, I should be having the same experience, right? Whoever I'm talking to should have the same information about me and can deliver the same personalized message. Now, the reality is that the customers I usually talk to, and most customers that we spend time with, are not there yet, right? Currently, there are several steps that need to be taken in order to get there. First, we believe that the customer is at the center, but practically it's not really always. And if I walk into a physical store and then call up perhaps your customer service department and take a look at perhaps a marketing email that arrived in that time, I'm not going to have the same experience, right? Now, this is an important issue to be aware of because studies show that 1 in 3 customers are actually going to drop the brand that they love and use if they experience a negative customer experience. So obviously, there's a gap, right? There's a bridge to be crossed in order to get to where we want to be and where we heard today the future holds and where we are today. Now, the most disturbing fact from Gartner comes that only 25 to 30% of all of your data about the customers is actually useful, or meaning you can act upon it and you can utilize it. Now, this shouldn't surprise because another statistics show that 70% of all the systems in a typical enterprise are disconnected and are working in siloed. Now, Connor already touched upon it and said that perhaps at the time where this is built, this was by design and this was the best that was on the market. But it's something that's not going to set you up and ready for the future, right? Whether we are talking about completely disconnected systems that aren't talking to each other or are talking in a static and delayed way, not real time, this is something that has to be addressed, right? The worst part is that customers don't really care, right? They expect a lot from you, and they've been spoiled in this day and age with companies, huge global companies, for example, Spotify, Netflix, Amazon, you name it, which deliver this one-to-one personal experience. They know a lot about them, and they tend to be higher in the maturity market. And unfairly, they expect the same from you, right? Which is just the reality. So how do we actually get there, right? How do we bridge this gap? We all know and heard that we need to leverage the data in order to create these connected and AI-powered customer experiences, customer journeys. But when we talk about data, the first thing that pops to mind is your CRM data, your ERP data, your POS data, or any of the other structured data that you have in your system, even spreadsheets or some sort of transactional data, right? And all of that is still usually not connected, or it's connected in a different way. But the true power comes when you start unlocking the hidden insights in your unstructured data. Now, unstructured data is anything that's not structured by default, but think of PDFs, comments from social media, voice transcripts from your customer support team, your sales teams, internal enablement videos, you name it, anything, images, right? Anything that isn't necessarily processed in a traditional transactional database. So why is it so matter? Because if you're talking about agents, right? You think about a human agent in your selling department or your service department. they have their real-time context, which they learn over time by experimenting, but they didn't learn it in a knowledge article. They didn't learn it perhaps in a structured way. So you need all of those deep context in order to enable AI agents to do the same. But it's not easy, right? It's not easy because, first of all, rarely an enterprise has a directory and centralized storage of all this unstructured data. It's usually spread across, I don't know, your intranet, perhaps Google Drives, local storages in your teams, all across the organization, right? But even if you do have it at one certain place, it's not easy to process and extract information and insights from, for example, a video recording of a call, right? If you want to build it yourself, it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and it's going to be very costly. And as you talked about, reliability is the key here. So in practice, being unable to unlock this hidden trap data results in a very practical example, which I want to show here, is that Samantha over here, she might have been talking to your brand or exchanging with your retail shop, for example, and she has one newsletter, she registered to a newsletter with 2 different emails, for example. These are 2 different profiles that you're looking at. Maybe her loyalty is tied to her phone number. Again, maybe she used the abbreviation of her name at one form that she registered or another. Guest checkout, login checkout. So the question is, do we have a single source of truth who this customer is? Do we have a true customer 360? And the answer is that realistically, not likely. Because if you want to target this person and send an email campaign, product recommendation, who are we actually addressing here? Are we addressing Samantha from your customer service cases, or are we addressing Samantha from your loyalty? Now, the answer is no one, because Samantha is a sum total of all her experience and all of your touch points across your digital journey, not just a portion of it. And the way Salesforce solved this is by using what you already heard, Data Cloud, Data 360, as it's going to be rebranded. Now, Data 360 or Data Cloud sits at the very center of the Salesforce platform. Here is where you can actually create those customer 360 profiles. You can ingest all of the structured and unstructured data and use them to have this one view. And then on the outer layer, you have the different Salesforce modules. Now, most of you already are Salesforce customers, so you recognize Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, CRM, or Marketing Cloud, right? So these are all the different modules of the platform that you can leverage across your customer journey. And then the outer layer is Agentforce, which is basically Salesforce solution to providing you a scaled, trustable way to launch different types of agents that then can interact within the data that's set at the center, Data Cloud, and the different modules. For example, you could be launching personalized shopping assistants, or where is my order basic support agents, even agents that can run your marketing campaigns, create briefs, analyze documents, insights, and recommend new segments to market. But today, in this session, Zdravko and I are going to focus on about the center part, about Data Cloud. So how does it actually work? Now, there are 5 key steps that you need to remember about Data Cloud. First one is the most obvious one. You need to get the data in, right? So you need to ingest your data. And again, we're talking about structured data that can be ingested through a different number of already pre-built connectors, and Zdravko is going to touch upon that. But also all the unstructured data, PDFs, videos, anything that you might have, right? Once you have the data, it's time for phase 2, which is the harmonization and unification. This is the part where you actually do the deduplication, that you summarize Samantha under one customer profile, and that you can also do a little bit more transformation on the data. Third step, once you're happy with your customer golden 360 profile, you move to the governing part. And this is a super important part because it's often overlooked, but it's very more complicated if you want to approach a do-it-yourself model, where this is a Salesforce native capability that allows you to restrict, enforce certain type of policies, data access rights, meaning that your agent that is deployed on the customer on your website cannot share confidential internal data, because this is where you will actually enforce these policies. And then the most 2 fun parts of Data Cloud are the segmentation and predict and activation, right? So in the segmentation and predict, this is where you actually do a lot of calculated insights. For example, based on everything that you've collected, you can run a simple prompt that will generate calculated insights of your customer, which is the best next product to offer, or how likely are they to churn, how likely are they to buy again. Are they happy? Are they not happy? What's their general sentiment, right? How do they actually compare to which segment, right? And I'm going to touch a little bit about the segmentation, but it's really cool because this is a tool that's intended also for business users. And I just wanted to highlight that you guys can make segments, even if you're not data scientists, you can do it by prompting and actually drag and dropping. And then lastly, you need to activate the data, which is the whole point, because Data Cloud, in essence, is a data awareness and activation layer. Right? So you have all of your data, you've connected it, you have the Customer 360, and now you need to do something about it. Whether you're using it manually throughout the Salesforce Customer 360 platform, or agents do it for you, this is now up to discussion, and you can do both. So, any data, anywhere. If you can remember one thing from this slide, that's it, right? All of the structured and unstructured data across all the customer touchpoints, and the ability to power agentic AI and agents throughout it. Now, I touched about segmentation, and there's an important thing that we all are aware of, and that's the kind of phase out of third-party cookies, right? So all of us are thinking about how can we leverage first-party data that's collected from the customers, whether through their engagement, whether they share it with you directly, right? And it's super important for you to be aware of the data, to collect the data, and use it for segmentation. Because if we just look at traditional segmentation, like, okay, what are the demographics of my customers, we might get a very different response for the same prompt. And I'm pretty sure that we would not offer same products to these two gentlemen over here. Now, I've mentioned before, and it's super important to kind of highlight once more, is that the traditional process that I figured out by talking to most of the customers is, let's say your marketing department needs a segment of customers for the next promotion, or your sales team needs it, right? Usually this will go to the IT head or to the data department, sits in a backlog, you open a ticket, you create a segment definition, you explain what it is for. Then after a few days to a few weeks, depending on the complexity of your business, this data is delivered to you in sort of a static way. So there's two key problems. First, it's long. It creates bottlenecks on the IT departments, usually on the data that can be spent otherwise differently. But also, you're, again, working with static data. But because even if it was real time, by the time you receive this segment, it's no longer up to date, right? And with Data Cloud, there's low-code, actually no-code and prompt-based tools that you as a business user, as a marketing head, as a sales department, you can run these prompts, you can get these segments, and just think about how much more can you do and without this extra waiting time. So the future is not only agentic, but it's data first and customer centric, because this goes hand in hand. And I mentioned about the first-party data. So it all starts with your strategy of collecting, storing the first-party data. Right? Do you have the capabilities technically and otherwise to do so? Second of all is activation. Right? Data is useless unless you act upon it. Right? Otherwise, it's just noise and gigabytes or terabytes of data. So you need a way to activate it anywhere that you need to activate it. So why would you activate it? How we want to activate it is to deliver personalized experience. Right? We all want to have a one-on-one experience, but you need to do it on a one-to-many scale. And that's the whole point. Like, hi, first name is not a personalization. Personalization is understanding where your customers buy, when they usually buy, why they buy, what they buy, for whom they buy. And then you can craft an email and you can craft a proposition for them that's actually going to convert. Fourth, obviously, you have to have a way of measuring it. You have a way of justifying the ROI. And then you need to have the tools to keep it constantly running, optimizing, and improving along the time. So we've heard from Marco that there are certain maturity stages, and I don't want to go too much about it, but the reality is that most customers that we see are still in the siloed communication part. Right? You have your data siloed, you have your organization, you have your traditional enterprise softwares, and they're not really talking to each other, or they are talking in an outdated fashion. So moving just to a connected journeys type of maturity level already unlocks a lot of value, because you can deliver faster, you can deliver more, and you can increase your conversion rates. And only then are you ready to start going to the AI, being an AI-powered and agentic enterprise. So start with the vision. You need to have a vision and inspiration to get there, but you need to take the steps necessary in order to get there. There's no jumping steps here. And lastly, I just want to share two, I think, very fun use cases that we have customer success. So Villa Sanoa, for example, they are US-based premium furniture, and they have all the things about decorating your home. So what their challenge was that they have certain type of also complex products, and all their web chats, all of their customer support tickets were resulting in a phone call, 60% of them, which was super hard for them to manage and scale, because their team was supposed to deliver consultation about how to redecorate your kitchen, for example, or your home. Instead, they were answering questions like, where's my order? Can I change my billing address? And all these different things. So by implementing all of this data across the different brands that they have into Data 360 and enabling Agentforce, they're able to deflect a lot of these conversations on web chat, and their team can actually close more deals and bring more value to the organization, because they are focused around the deliverables and the meaningful discussions with the customer, not something that can be fully automated, right? And the second one is, if there are any fans here of Formula One, it's a very good use case, because they've had a challenge that they couldn't really talk personalized way, or had a feeling that they're not really connecting to their younger audiences, right? So they implemented Data Cloud, put in all the data into it, right? And the results of them having this solution is that, first of all, the email delivery rate, so when they're sending out content to their subscriber base, it's almost at 100%, which is almost unheard of. Second of all is that their NPS grew from 70 to 93%, meaning customers find it relevant, they find it engaging, and they're super happy about what they can actually deliver. So now I'd like to introduce Zdravko to the stage, and Zdravko is going to actually show you something instead of me just talking. So Zdravko, the floor is yours, and
thank you, Gino. Let me just quickly log in here, because hello, everyone. Thank you for your time and attention for this particular session. I hope it will be useful. Thank you, Gino, also because you've set the stage perfectly. You've talked about challenges with data silos and the strategy of having unified data foundation. Now, for the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will see how to make this real. We will see a retailer called NTO, short for Northern Trail Outfitters, which is actually outdoor clothing retailer, and their customer, Lauren Bailey, on a journey that is backed up by agentic enterprise that NTO is. I think it goes without saying, but both NTO and Lauren Bailey are made up for the purpose of this demo, so if you Google them, you will not find any brand like that. Okay, so can I just please get my screen on the big screen? Okay, thank you very much. So now this is what Gino was talking. This is the rich customer 360 profile, golden profile, unified profile of a customer. We are actually using all the data that we have about Lauren Bailey, from all of these structured and unstructured data sources that we have, like website engagement, mobile engagement, a loyalty history, purchase history, and other, behavioral information that we have around her, and our own business data. Not only that, we are also using unstructured data. That was also the topic here when Connor was presenting, and also Gino, that is extremely important to get this promise of agentic enterprise in real life. So let me elaborate a little bit. We see here different KPIs related to Lauren, such as her lifetime value, propensity to purchase, churn, and so on, engagement scores, and so on. These are all calculated insights that we do based on information that we connected to Data 360, that we harmonized, unified, deduplicated, and now built into this golden profile. We can also see product recommendations and other similar recommendations that are related to Lauren and our brand, NTO. So for instance, we can see next best products for her based on her past purchases, based on our current product catalog and all the information that we have. We can see next best content. So for instance, maybe she is a good candidate to invite to join us on Ljubljana Marathon next year. Or maybe we want to issue her a voucher to buy a fitness tracker because we know she doesn't have it or she searched for it and so on. So we can do all of this with the data that we activate through Data 360. We can also see information, as granular as we want with this, let's say, little pulse graph that we see showing her sales throughout the year, so we can better understand who she is and how she relates to us as a company. So when I'm looking at this, I'm actually a person working in the NTO store. I'm her shopping assistant. Let's call it like that. And I want to help her. So imagine that she just came to the store and she needs a ski jacket for her ski trip. Now, she wanted to ski on Kranjska Gora, but weather is currently more summer there than winter, so she changed her mind and she wants to go to Zermatt, Switzerland. So she will actually tell me this, and I can use Agentforce to actually to get product recommendation, to find best clothing item for her. So what I will do here, I will actually write what she told me as soon as I'm speaking to her in the store, and I will now post this to Agentforce. Now, what's happening in the background? Agentforce is actually using this information that I've given it, and it goes through product catalogs, perhaps even the information that we have from past purchases and her behavior, and it is suggesting us the best item to actually offer to her right now. Now, suppose she's not really happy with this, she needs something a bit different, something more versatile, then we can start conversing with it as you would expect from an AI agent. Again, what's happening in the background, we are going through the catalog with a bit refined prompt, right? Asking for a bit different clothing item, and we actually find it here. We can now show it to her, she can try it, and she loves it, she wants to buy it. Then I can still keep using Agentforce to help me do my job and drive my efficiency. So she wants to buy this. Now I have to actually get it from the warehouse, from the inventory that I have in the store. So what I can write here, I can just write locate it. What we do now, we again go through data that we have in Data 360. This time, this is connections to our warehouse management system and inventory data. And we can actually get the information where this item is. I just have to provide a few more information here. Wrong shortcut. Okay, so this is the color that she wants. This is the size that she needs. Let's see where it is. And Agentforce is just responding in this conversational way, saying where this is. I can easily go to the warehouse, pick it up, bring it to her. I don't have to leave her for half an hour searching the warehouse. This is one very small example of how it can drive efficiency on retailers' side. But I think more importantly, what this does, this makes customers happy. Why? Because, first of all, they are getting best service for their hard-earned money. And they are saving their time. And they are getting, why they are saving their time? Because they are getting relevant recommendations and service that is bespoke to them. Okay, so Lauren is now happy, she's leaving the store, but let's recap on what we've just seen. We've seen how we use structured and unstructured data to drive customer success. Let's see what happens under the hood and how is this possible. For instance, this is the data stream for website engagement data that comes from Amazon S3 bucket in this particular example. And you can see all the connections that we do. So on the left side, we see incoming data. On the right side, we see standardized data model that we are using that is understandable by our Salesforce platform and basically any kind of application layer that we built on it, like AI agents. We can easily do different kind of connections and so on. This is what Data 360 all allows. What it also does, and we've said this, I think, a few times already today, it does this individual resolution. So it can help us deduplicate the information that we have. Customers with multiple emails, multiple registrations and so on, we can squeeze this to a golden profile of that particular customer. So in this particular example, you can see that we've actually came from 66 source profiles, and we have unified this into 66 million. And we have unified this to 18.7 million, roughly like 3 times even greater deduplication, let's say. Again, this is what Data 360 does. But how do we connect to all of this data? As I said, and as we all said, we connect to unstructured, semi-structured, structured, whatever you need. Basically, you can connect to anything. If it's data, we can connect to it. But what is maybe even more important, like 90% or 95% of data integrations that you will have in your mind, there are already pre-built connectors for that. And as you can see, there are usual suspects here that we can connect, like data lakes, Databricks, Snowflake, Amazon, Google, and so on. Applications such as Adobe, SAP, Oracle. Actually, recently we even introduced, it should be here somewhere, we even introduced connectors to connect to IBM mainframe and IBM DB2 databases and so on. So there is huge amount of pre-built connectors. And if it doesn't exist, you can still connect to it through other technology that we have, through MuleSoft, that is our integration layer. So basically, as I said, you can connect to anything. It can be as complicated as IBM mainframes that were mentioned, but also as simple as connecting to Google Drive, which should be somewhere here. Okay, here it is. And actually, in fact, for the demo that I've just created here, I'm using product catalogs in Google Drive that were used to drive this product recommendation. So we are using unstructured data. I would call it very unstructured because PDFs are unstructured as they can get, right? So we are using this information to drive this product recommendations. I believe we have, in the end, sold that particular jacket. Okay, so this is, I mean, I hope it's cool, but to me it is. Anyhow, this is very nice, but to be truly agentic enterprise, you have to perform at scale. Meaning that it is a big shame of having all of this built and use it only for in-store employees. You want to enable this through different channels. So let's assume now that Lauren has actually came home and figured out that she also needs, let's say, ski pants for this particular trip. She can now log into NTO's webpage, web store, web portal, however we want to call it, and open a chat interface that she has there. And she can start writing. So for instance, we said she needs pants. So let me see if I remember correct shortcut. I do. Okay. So she needs ski pants. She doesn't need to write, for this particular use case, she really doesn't need to write anything more. Why? Because, let me submit this, because you will see what Agentforce now does. It will actually look in her past orders. It will see that her last order was particular jacket called Apex something that we just seen. And it will actually match the pants that she needs with this particular item. Again, leveraging data 360 capabilities and having unified data foundation. Okay, let's suppose she needs also something else, SOX in this case. Again, we can go through those catalogs that I've just shown you in Google Drive. We go through this unstructured data and we provide best possible recommendation here. She is happy with this, so no, this, okay, yeah, it's a good shortcut. Okay, so she says she will buy both of these items, and now leveraging agentic capabilities of Agentforce, she can actually do e-commerce and she can finish this purchase. She's just asked what kind of payment method does she want to use. She wants to use her card on file. So I will write 2 here, and her payment is now being processed. Let's see order details. Payment is actually done, and hopefully she will receive her clothes before the trip that she has. Okay, with this is actually the end of the demo part. I hope you liked it. If you want to discuss it, I'm happy to do so later on during the breaks, of course. And with that, I'm actually handing it back to Gino to wrap it up. Thank you.
Back to me. I just want to be very quick, be cautious of the time. And thanks, Zdravko, for the demo. I think it's a small portion of what you can do, but I think it shows the key elements that we've been discussing today quite well. Now, I have only one more slide, and then you're free to go. But there's 3 things that I want you to all remember and take away from this session, right? Number 1, you have your AI strategy, but unify your data foundation first, right? So you need a solution like Data 360 Data Cloud in order to create this single source of truth, as we've just seen. You need to be able to do it quickly. You need to be able to do it without a fully do UI, approach, because of the existing connectors, all of the existing trust, reliability, and governance policies that you have there. So everything starts with your data foundation. Second of all, is make use of that 90% of untrapped, unstructured data, right? So good AI needs this real world context. It needs the things that aren't really documented or kept updated or that are sitting somewhere along your organization, but aren't really giving you value, right? So think about it anytime you're thinking about the agentic future and your CX, consider where is the actual real world data and the unstructured data. And number 3, connected experiences, not siloed. Now, what does it actually mean is that you cannot scale siloed approach, right? You can only scale a connected experience. And as we just saw from Zdravko, I want to take it back. We had a situation where Lauren was in the shop. The shopping assistant was perhaps new at the job, and they were using Agentforce to help her make a right decision for her purchase. And that's okay, but that's also not scalable, because what scales the use case is enabling it to be self-service on the front face, meaning Lauren came home later on and she had the same experience. The system didn't ask her, what kind of pants would you like? It already knew all her previous purchases. It knew what the pants are about, what kind of conditions are you going to use to, and it just was a very simple few lines of chatting and the purchase was done. So unify your data, activate unstructured data, and think about connected experience. And with that being said, I want to say thank you for the attention. Thank you for Agilcon team for hosting this event. And if you wish, you can catch us. We are going to be here all day, or you can scan the QR code and connect with us on LinkedIn. So thank you very much.
Thank you.